I want to get into this video because what's so special about a Harley-Davidson? It's just a motorcycle, right? And I got some other videos out there. I mean, they're not that great. I wish I videoed some other stuff because I could have went into a lot of detail. Because I did a lot of work on my bike because I wanted more power out of it, and I did this and I did that. That's just part of it. I mean, I didn't have to do that kind of stuff, but I guess I could have put a lot of videos out back years ago when I did a lot of stuff on it because I had the whole engine done over and everything, and some things I couldn't do because it was done by Regeneration Machine Works in San Marcos, California. There's a guy named Mike. I think it was always over there. But, I'm going to say one thing. What's so special about a Harley? It's actually the whole Harley-Davidson community. It's not the motor company. The motor company is just part of it. They just make money. They sell you a bike. If you buy a new one, you buy a used one. I'd never take a car or bike to a dealer ever. That's just how I am. But I do my own stuff. But really, what's the difference between, I guess, Harley and a lot of other bikes? There's probably more loyalty to the brand than anything. That's one thing I could say. But, I look at the bike almost like it's a John Deere tractor. Except it's a motorcycle. But it's got power. It's got the power to do the job. And, a lot of people say, and I hear a lot of shit on motorcycles, man. I hear, even in the Harley world, if you got a Sportster, I got a Sportster, it's half a Harley, it ain't shit, that's nothing. People put it down, they say this, they say that, they say negative things. It's ridiculous, And I guess the only thing I could say, though, was like, anytime you get a bike, you really never know what the hell you're getting to. There's always been things that I saw. Well, I don't know every damn thing there is about Harleys for sure, but there's always been different things that pop up over the years, but the aftermarket always comes up with solutions. So, like, one of the things that have been coming up, I guess, in recent years on a big twin Harley, the twin cams, they had the chain drive with the shoe on it, the plastic shoe. The shoe would wear out and that crap would get in the engine and your engine would seize up, and I mean, there was actually problems with that. And then they put a hydraulic tensioner and stuff. They ought to make it right from the get-go with the damn S&S cams and solve the problem, but I don't know. But I always look at it like this. Some people buy a bike for various reasons. It's almost like in America, a lot of it's a recreational toy, completely. I look at it as practical transportation. That's what I look at it as. But I also realize every time you get on a bike, you're pretty much taking your life in your hands. I actually got more respect. Well, in a lot of ways, motorcycle riders put their lives in their hands. They got more danger than a lot of people have even been in the military. That's a fact. That's a fact. A lot of times, motorcycle riders are in a lot more danger than people in the military. But they don't get the same respect, They don't get any bennies for it either, It's like, what do you get out of it? Nothing. But I guess every bike should come with a warning label. This bike might be a problem. You might get killed. Or maybe it might break down and some idiot won't know how to fix it. I guess my beef was there sometimes with going to dealers and stuff. They're money. They've got the showcase. They got T-shirts out there. They charge for, they charge all the image stuff. They make money off of that and whatever. And they pay mechanics, and sometimes these mechanics don't even know that much. They're paying them as cheap as possible, And they have to use genuine Harley parts all the time. And sometimes the aftermarket parts are better, But that's just the way it goes. But I say what's unique about Harley-Davidson, though, it is the community itself. And the motor company is not the community. The community is everybody, because it's all the machinists, all the mechanics, all the people that share the information, that know if there's a shortcoming on the bike, and there always seems to be, when they change something, they make something better and they make something worse. Really. That's what happens. They change one thing, they make something better, and they make something worse. And then you just take care of it. But I mean, if something's like, you don't like it because, you're buying a refrigerator, and the refrigerator, you're not buying a refrigerator, you're buying a Harley-Davidson. Now, I mean, is it image or is it whatever? I personally can't stand that kind of crap. I can't stand play Harley-Davidson image. I hate that shit, to tell you the truth. But I actually pretty much have total commitment to the bike, pretty much. That's the way it is. And a lot of people just, I don't know. I really don't give a shit what people think. But I catch a lot of flack from freaking people, either Harley riders or Jap bike riders, or people crybabies, telling me shit that it's like, oh, this is bad, that's bad. I don't really care what you fucking think, man. I'm just telling you right now. Because, I see like, I guess there's one Jap bike out there that I think is really good. Well, there's a lot of them actually. They're freaking made good. They're made pretty solid. I rode some of them, and I don't really like the way they ride. I mean, it's the way me. I just don't like the way they seem. I don't know. There's something about it I don't like. And I think one of the best ones out there is the standard, not the cruiser style, but the when Honda came out with the CB750, and now they call it the Nighthawk. Nighthawk's actually a good bike, and if there's any one bike that's probably got some tradition to it more than anything, in the Jap bike world that's pretty conservative and reliable and kind of a jack of all trades, it's probably that. But hey, to each his own. Sometimes people got to, spend a couple bucks and you got to do a couple extra things. Oh, big fucking deal, Go cry on somebody's shoulder, I know, like, when I got my Sportster, there's one thing I didn't like about it. That the clutch shell, they had the magnetic weights inside there where the alternator is. They had the stator was inside there, and the weights used to come off. And that part was like $500 to replace. I wound up getting a used one, and then the starter ring. I mean, I did everything. Actually, the whole bike's been apart a couple times, but a lot of stuff I did just because I wanted to do it. That was really it too. Just like anything, man. You share the information, and you get to get it down the way you want it. And I got a basically stock bike that just has some more power than stock. That's all it is. That's the way I want it. That's just how it is. But there's a couple things on them that I don't like sometimes. And you know what? The aftermarket comes up with solutions. And basically, that's really the difference between Harley-Davidson and the rest, because a lot of people who get the Jap bikes or the other bikes, they don't really have as much loyalty to the bike as you think. It's like if the bike took a shit, they just throw it away, get another one. That's really what happens. And you don't see a Harley thrown away. Just like laying on the side of the road, scrapped. Oh, that piece of shit, throw it in the junk. You don't see that. You see that with the Japanese motorcycles, though. But they produce them faster. And actually, they are good bikes. They're not screwed up. I don't knock anybody for it or anything like that. But sometimes, you might have to actually do a little work and a little bit of commitment. And that's really what the difference is between Harley-Davidson. And, in Japan, like Kawasaki and Honda, I mean, it's got a more of a mechanical following. Like, there's more, there's some Harley followings over in Japan. But, where they actually make them, and they're Japanese riders, and they're riding Japanese bikes, that really works for them. You know what I mean? But in America, Harley's the way to go. That's the way to go. And, every bike, I guess, should come with a warning label. It might take a little commitment. You might have to do a little extra work on it. You might get in some problems or some kind of shit. And it's dangerous, too. Really. So that's life. That's all I got to say. But Harley riders, and as far as the community go, the community is basically tighter in a Harley community. I think so. And it's like, if there's anything, and I know that I'm not too much on a freaking play Harley-Davidson because, I don't have one tattoo. I don't have any of that shit. I mean, that's cool if you got tattoos. I mean, it's fine. But, I mean, I don't play any of that stuff. I don't play any biker stuff. I just ride the bike sometimes. That's all I do. That's all I do. But I definitely got commitment to the bike. and I pretty much go the cheapest way around. I went bike 25 years, But, I'd say there's always something that crops up that is a defect in something. And but the aftermarket comes up with the answer. I know it's been a defect in the twin cams lately, and they kind of fixed it, I think, in 2007. They came out with a hydraulic tensioner. But hey, you know what? If you want to really fix the twin cam problem with the tensioners, is you get this gear drive set up from S&S. And it costs money. I mean, if you buy the parts, it's like $900, and you got to put them in yourself. Then when you put them in, I don't know, the bike should last a really long time. It shouldn't have any problems, really. But, hey, my opinion on Harley, I think the Sportster's probably the better deal, but that's just my opinion. And the people tell me, that's half a Harley, that's nothing, that's shit, that's no good. I don't know. And then, I get people like, you got to do this, you got to do that, it's too stock, you got to, fucking bunch of bullshit, man. It's a pissing contest. That's 99% of it. I don't get into that shit. It's so stupid, man. It's your own personal choice. That's all what it's about. But, I have to say this, in the United States, Harley's fine. And it's not really like the motor company that makes the bike. It's actually the community. That's really what I'm pointing out. It's the community itself. And I'm not talking about when you ride and you say hi and shit. I mean, there's some really hardcore mechanical geniuses out there. I mean, they'd have 3 PhDs if there's some dipshit in the office talking bullshit. They'd have 3 PhDs. These are highly intelligent people. And if there's a problem and there's a shortcoming from the factory, one of those guys would figure it out. They'll figure it out. I remember like a long time, they came up with it, like on my bike, it was the clutch basket. The weights would come off, and then they would break the stator, and you have to buy a stator. That was $100. The clutch shell thing was like $500, and then the starter ring would spin on there. And actually, that was made in Japan. It's by Showa. Actually, that's who it is. It's made in Japan. Actually, I think it's not even a Harley-Davidson USA part. And you say, well, what's the point? Well, the point is, most of it is USA. I stick with the USA because I live here. I'm American. That's part of the loyalty reason, too. But I do like the bike. It kind of reminds me of a John Deere farm tractor with a lot of horsepower. That's what it really is in some ways. I don't know, man. They're simple and they hold up. They hold up. There's no bullshit about them. That's what I like about them. That's just my opinion, though. People say, hey, it's no good. And, they fixed like the clutch shell bullshit thing on my bike. It was actually a machinist. You put a nylon basket so the weights don't come out, and they shaved the weights down a little bit. And I remember they had the ring gear, the starter ring gear welded to the shell a couple times. So it don't break no more. And now they got one that's encased. It's not the factory part. It's an aftermarket part that's cheaper than the factory part that has a stainless steel liner in there, so the weights can't fly off, period. And if you're really like racing the crap out of them, you have to change the trapdoor and the transmission because, it deflects. That's racing stuff. Depends on how hard you're riding the bike all the time. I rode my bike pretty damn hard a lot of times, too, but I'm getting sick of, you wind up you wind up trashing stuff, man. You freaking burn out clutches, and I'm talking about Barnett clutches, heavy duty clutches, and you're constantly doing shit because if you race a lot and you actually run a bike really hard, you're gonna break shit. Any bike, any bike. You put enough quarter miles on a damn thing, you'll start breaking shit. But that's just the way it is, man. That's just the way it is. But I see the real difference between Harley-Davidson and other bikes. It's the whole community. And it's not just, people riding and going on runs and shit. I'm talking about, there's a lot of hardcore freaking machinists and people that know these bikes inside out. And, if the factory comes up with the factory actually, Harley-Davidson's a pretty damn conservative company. So they don't change stuff too much. And that's another thing I like about them. Like, I don't know, like, I guess with Honda, with the CB750, it evolved into the Nighthawk. The Nighthawk actually has a lot of, that's got some tradition behind it, I guess, too. But, I'm in America, so I stick with American all the way. And it's not 100% American, but that's just the way it is. It's somebody in America had to assemble it here. It's the way hell I look at it, And most of it is. Actually, if I got another bike, I'd probably start with an S&S motor, S&S transmission, and get a frame, and just go from scratch right there. It probably wouldn't even be Harley-Davidson per se, but it would look like a Harley-Davidson. But, and that would be probably pretty damn expensive, because when you start adding up the price for an S&S motor and some of the parts and stuff, man, it really gets way up there. But then, if you're looking at total practicality, what are you trying to do, right? What are you trying to do? So, that's just how I see it, man. That's just how I see it. So, I guess every Harley should come out with a label and says, this bike might require a little bit of commitment. It may. Oh well. What can I tell you, right? Life's a bitch, right? I mean, if you don't want it to freaking, most people, I think they see it and they think, I just want to hit the starter button and I'm done. And change the oil and go to the dealer and I'm done, right? That's just what happens. And it's not because they're a piece of shit that they fall apart. Some people might be cursing them out. But you know what? That's just how it's been. But I think pretty much a lot of the Harleys had one little quirk here and there. But the aftermarket takes care of it. But it's not a big deal once you take care of that problem. It's fine. It's fine. That's all there is to it. And if you can't handle that, I don't even know what the fuck. Do what the hell you want. Do what the hell you want. Just go get yourself a freaking, whatever, and go ride that. That's all. So, the one thing I do have to say, though, is that the Harley community does have enough dedication. The Harley-Davidson's going to be around a long time. And, if the whole motor company freaking wasn't around or something like that, it would still be, Harley-Davidson would survive forever. It would. It would. Because people are that loyal to it. And you say, well, what are you spending money on it for? I don't know. Why are you spending money on anything you fucking do? Right? But I don't really spend much money on my bike. I bought my bike 25 freaking years ago, right? I might have put $10,000 into it for the initial brand new cost over a total from the whole freaking time I owned it. And it's probably worth half that or more now. Who gives a shit what the hell it's worth now? Because I'll probably keep it another 25 years. So, if you're looking at the dollars and cents and all that kind of shit, I don't know, man. I guess, if a bike seems like a refrigerator to you, go buy a Whirlpool bike. That's all I have to say. Go buy a Whirlpool, buy a Refrigerator, buy a GE, whatever. Buy a Maytag. But actually, if I was ever in a bind where I was in a problem with, say, a dealership or something like that, and this thing was giving me problems, I wouldn't even bother with that shit. I'd go straight to one of the people that know shit. And there are people, and everybody, you got to watch. But if you ask around, there's some mechanics out there, like I said, and they're like they're half mechanics, they're half machinists, but they're about as smart as 3 PhDs put together. They're smart as all hell, and they'll straighten the problem out. Because you know what? After all, it's just metal, man. You'll make it work one way or the other. No matter what the problem is, you can figure it out, and it's usually a cheap, easy solution. And you wonder why the factory didn't do it? I don't know. Sometimes the factory, you know what? But Harley-Davidson isn't the motor company. And I just got to drive that point home. It really is the whole community itself. So, people that whine about something, I really wouldn't want them in the Harley-Davidson community anyway. Do what the hell you want. That's all I have to say.